Are you ready to get the hydrofacial glow? Loved in 87 countries across the world. It's not a facial, it's a hydrofacial. Now available across the UK. Visit hydrofacial.co.uk to find your nearest location.
It was a beautiful show. I had played the ingenue 25 years earlier, and I went back to play the old bad diva 25 years later. Apparently, I'm the only person who's ever done that.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
He's
Hello.
back. Harriet.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Debbie. Harriet's home.
Welcome.
Hi. Nice to be back.
I've flown back into the nest, my darlings, from
Thanks.
giving of my wicked queen in Woking with the wonderful Gogwan. It's very understated, as you know, very Chekhovian in my delivery, you can imagine. And Dee, whose costume have you stolen?
Oh, darling, it's not yours. It's not yours.
No,
You're the wicked fairy and I'm the good fairy.
of course.
And actually, it makes a change because my daughter calls me a hobbit because I'm so small. So
And
I'm quite
also-
delighted to be called a fairy.
We also have the shoe fairy here today.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we do.
Hello. Hello.
So,
We do.
Madam
Hi,
Believer,
girls. I think you look gorgeous with that tinsel in your hair. Fabulous.
Thank you, darling.
Debbie
Lovely
Page,
that
where are you,
is
darling?
joining us today instead of Sherry. So
Yes.
welcome
But can I
back. And
just
she's-
ask where she is, please? Because it looks rather sunny and I'm a rather bitter person.
I'm in Portugal at the moment.
How
And it
outrageous.
is sunny and it's beautiful. It's a bit chilly, but it's not as chilly as in Blighty. So, I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very lucky.
International Wonderbirds again.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Can't
Brilliant.
go
Actually,
Absolutely lovely.
we would not have invited you if we knew that you were away somewhere sunny. And
Yeah.
That's why I didn't tell you.
yeah.
Darlings, can I bring in our first iconic guest for this
Please.
week? She is actress, singer, dancer. There's nothing she doesn't do. It is the wonderful friend and colleague of us all, Bonnie Langford.
Woo!
How are you? I'm pressing on my buttons because I can't do this technology thing. It just is
No.
weird, isn't it? It just
It is,
finishes
darling,
you
but
off.
it's magical that
We
we can
can't
see,
either.
and it's magical that we can see you, and that's all that matters. We can put a voiceover on afterwards. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Welcome to our nest. It is so great to see you. Now, darling,
Thank
I
you.
know that you are giving of your what are you, a good fairy, dear? The fairy godmother.
Well, I don't even know what I am actually. She changes her name all the time. We did decide now she's Fairy Lilac, and
Right.
not even Lilac Fairy or Good. I don't know. Yes, I am Fairy Lilac in the Churchill Theatre in Bromley.
Yes.
And Sleeping Beauty, which is one that I have not encountered before. Have you?
No,
it's not
I'm
a
only
panto.
wicked
It's not
queen
one of the.
now,
Yeah,
Yeah,
You're but I think it's fun to be the big Wicked Queen, actually.
it is.
Although
It's-
I'm not sure about making kids cry.
No, I don't, darling. I just make them slightly scared. But it's
She makes the grown-ups cry.
As they cry.
yeah,
No
exactly.
change there.
But tell us, darling, how's it going? Because we've been doing costume fittings together. We've had shrieks recently. We do at a dog show together in wonderful Chiswick. And so how's it been going? How's everything going?
We've done dog shows together with
Oh,
my little
look.
baby. Hi. Yeah. She's not too keen on being here, I don't think. She wants to walk.
Oh.
She wants to get out. Let me out of here. I don't want to be a
What's
dog.
her name, Bonnie?
Sweet.
Her name is Poppy, and she's just coming up for 18 months. I'm going to let her go. She's coming up for
Lovely.
18 months. And she's a bit of a salvation, I think, really, through the whole sort of lockdown period, and then coming out of it, which in some respects has been sort of almost harder, hasn't it, to sort of find this new situation that we're in. I don't
You
really
did
know.
some
It still
amazing
feels terribly
shows.
unsettled.
You've done some amazing shows with The Masked Dancer. Can we just talk about that
Yes.
for a moment, which was a sensation?
Yes.
If you all saw
I was
it.
a squirrel.
Yeah. You landed, you did a jump.
Never let
into
it be
splits.
said. Yes, never let it be said that you ever take anything for granted in this business, that you've you're fully trained, complete, you know what you're doing, that you've pretty much done everything, because that is never the case. And never on my list of things that I thought I would do was to put on this huge head and be a squirrel and try and dance in it. So, you know, you never know what life is going to throw at you. Just as long as it's crazy things like that, it's fine, you know?
Exactly. No, it was sensational, and you were sensational. And are you enjoying Panto, darling?
Yeah, do you know what I absolutely loved was, you know, on that first day at the weekend, I think it was sort of quite emotional in a way, because the thing that you have to do, as you know, when you sort of stand on a stage, is not only feel confident, and we haven't done it for a while, so you just sort of lose that. You don't have that just in your sort of take it for granted box, and you also, so you're doing something new anyway, you feel insecure about it, and you haven't done it for a while, out of practice. You have to make yourself sort of vulnerable to go to those places where you're being generous and giving, and yet in a way you haven't still got that spare in yourself. And so it was actually quite emotional to think, oh gosh, where are we with this? How have we got through this? And are we able to actually give without getting completely emotional ourselves? Which, of course, the audience doesn't want to stand there and see somebody going, whoa. You know, I mean, you have to be able to go, it's all marvelous, everything's lovely. And as a good fairy, you know, you're doing this whole thing about it will be okay. And I think most of the time we've wondered about that. We've wondered what is okay and what will be okay. How are we going to get through this sort of strange area that we're in? And but one of the most wonderful things was sort of at the beginning, I say something about, you know, will you help me? And, you know, clap your hands, stamp your feet. And you do the thing about, you know, well, that wasn't very good. You know, I'm sure you can make more noise than that. And to hear these kids just going, back at you was just wonderful. You go, oh wow, and we're allowed to make a noise, you know, you're giving them permission to say, come on, just let it go, let it rip. I think we've all kept ourselves very strong. We're all very strong. We can do this, we'll be fine, we'll be positive, and we'll do our masks and shield ourselves. And actually I think we need to just let rip, you know, stand at the top of Julie Andrews Mountain and sing, you know, and that can be quite emotional.
Yes, the thing is, Bonnie, because you have been a performer your whole life. I mean, for someone like you, this must have been even more ridiculous, because there's probably been no time, even when you were 2 years old, when you were born, that you haven't performed.
No, I know. No, at first, actually, I'd just come out of, I'd been in 9 to 5, a musical, for about a year and a half, and I was quite broken and tired and needed to repair. So there was that initial feeling, wasn't there, of it being, oh my goodness, what is this? Leaving all the notes everywhere, saying, if I'm ill, do this, phone this person, do that person, which was really nerve-wracking, because, of course, we all thought we were going to get ill, and sadly, many people did. And the not knowing what that would entail was really daunting. So in order to sort of stay strong from that, we also then turned around, I think, and went, actually this lockdown thing is rather a wonderful break, and we can literally take time to think, to smell the roses, to stop rushing around, and to actually appreciate what we have in our world. And then as it's gone on and on and on and on and on, I think the insecurity has been quite draining. And then, of course, there was that time when nobody was working. So if you turned around and said, oh, I'm not doing anything, it was all right.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, well, nobody is. So it wasn't personal. It was like, wow, nobody's working. So now I'm not working. Which was actually quite a revelation to be able to go, yes, it's not that I'm not wanted. It's just nobody, you know, nobody's working. Then when people started working and you still weren't working, you were thinking, why am I not working? And it becomes quite daunting.
You are one of the most talented artists in this country, and for a long time. I mean, I saw you in so many different shows, and your own show and everything else. And I don't think people realise. I mean, you know, when you come out, literally you come back, you know, with EastEnders and all that, they don't realise what you've got. I mean, to watch you on stage, I don't think there is another artist. I remember seeing your one-woman show, and I just was blown. It was absolutely incredible. Are you never going to do that again?
Well, no, I'm not going to do that one again. I'm doing a small version. Actually, I'm at Crazy Coq's in London, opposite the Piccadilly Theatre, Braswell. I'm going to do 2 nights, I think January 15th and 16th. Actually, I'm doing a Saturday night and a Sunday afternoon. River
we're
and Ice.
calm.
We can have tea
We're
and
calm.
songs. So it's just me and my musical director, Anthony England. I don't know if I'll have any guests. I haven't even thought about it yet. I mean, I have thought about it. I did it last year. I was supposed to do 3 nights, and I managed to do 1, and then we went into lockdown.
Oh.
So it's taken a year to rebook
Heck.
them, but we're there, and we'll do something lovely. Yes, that will be nice to get back going again, and do that and some bits and bobs. So yeah, I will do a much more intimate version of that show. I love music, and I love musicians, and I love musical arrangements. Just to hear all that live music around you, but it's a very small venue, and if I put loads of musicians in there, I think everyone would be deafened, and there'd be no room for the audience anyway. So this is just me and my lovely musical director, Anthony England.
Bonnie, do you still? I mean, do you prefer singing or dancing, or is it just everything?
I like storytelling. If it makes sense to sing, then it's another emotion. It's another way of telling that story. If it's dancing, it has to be, for me, it has to have a reason. I can't bear wafting around for no reason. I think that's just a bit naff, really. I think everything has to have a story to tell, and whichever way you choose to tell it what's at the root of it is the story. So whatever the job requires. As I say, I absolutely love music, though. I love the whole sort of structure of it, and hearing all those different levels, and the musical colours that you can create. But no, I don't mind any of it, as long as it's entertaining and you're giving people their money's worth, and a special memory. I think we're very, very lucky in this industry that we give people sort of lifetime memories. When people come up to me and say, "Oh, I remember seeing you in 1982 in something like that," and I think, good grief, all those things that you've done in your life, and they've done in their lives, and they remember something that they did with me. Really, they came to a room, a theatre or whatever, and they've kept that in their memory. Well, I think that's a quite extraordinary privilege.
Yeah, well, I definitely that one woman show that I saw you do, even though I'd seen you do other things before, that is in my memory as one of my best shows that I've ever seen. So I just loved it, because I didn't realise, Bonnie, how incredibly talented you. I mean, the dancing in that was extraordinary. You were like Sid Charisse. These legs came out. I thought, little Bonnie, where have those legs come from? Sorry, Debbie, I interrupted you.
No, not at all, not at all. I mean, I think you're so multifaceted that you've got all these areas that you've been in the whole of your life. And now a lot of people are not privileged enough to go to the theatre, but almost everyone has got a telly. And you're EastEnders in people's living rooms, and they invite you in, because if they don't want to watch you, they'll switch you off. So you're recognised by everyone.
EastEnders is an extraordinary sort of show to be part of, and I'd never done a soap before, and it was really inspiring to watch how quickly they would make it, and how the turnaround, the volume of work that they got through. I found it this fascinating and brilliant machine that just never stopped, which of course it did stop during lockdown, but and I'm no longer there, and I believe they make it quite differently. I'm not sure where they're at now with it, but they were certainly having to work with using tennis balls as eye lines and perspex screens, and it made it all a lot slower. But I found it absolutely fascinating, and one of the things that I think was so powerful was that by doing that show, it was sort of normally people would sit down for dinner and talk to each other, but that doesn't happen anymore. But they do sit down and watch EastEnders and talk to each other, and the different soaps, not just that soap, obviously. And what they do is they tackle different issues. And what I think is important is that so often we see programs that are telling us what to do, telling us what to think, whereas with something like a soap, they show the different characters, particularly of a family or a community, and that we're also busy saying we have to do everything right. That's not necessarily human. As humans, we are fallible.
Absolutely.
And so to show the different ways of reacting to different situations that are not always PC, not always correct, and how people integrate with one another. And it's fascinating how many young people watch that program, and then it represents them, and then their parents can see maybe another point of view as to how to react to something. I did a very big story about knife crime, which was incredibly powerful. I also found it extraordinary that I would stand in the street and, you know, people would literally come up to me. First of all, I felt quite guilty if I was smiling, because I was meant to be, you know, if I was walking on the street and they'd go, I'm so sorry for your loss. And, you know, it was like, well, it actually, it's not real for me.
But they think it is.
The incredible part was,
Yeah.
and also the incredible part was that people would come up to me with their real stories. It was real for them, as in their version of that story was real. And it was hugely important that we tried to tell that story as correctly as possible, so that those people were represented, and that we, maybe those of us privileged enough not to have gone through that situation in real life, can empathize and understand and sympathize with the incredible difficulty that entails.
I just think, you know, the way things are these days, you've got to, you know, you've obviously done your job so well that they think you are that character, you are that person, and they want to get in touch with you when they see you in the flesh, so to speak, because they believe what you said. And it's helped so many people. And I think the way soaps have gone these days, at the end of every soap it says, if you have a problem with something or other, connect or call this number or whatever. I think it is so important, because years ago it used to be all fluffy and pretty and nice. Now it's real life. You know, people are living that. And I think you've done such an important job there.
Well, I mean, fortunately, they were great writers on that at the time, but it was very, you know, I mean, it's quite complicated getting things right, because, you know, your original script you might have ends up being quite different, because it has to go through all sorts of different bodies and people to say that you're doing it right. So, for example, at one point I had to do a sort of attempted suicide, and it was really difficult to do, because we had to, it was rewritten about 12 times. And then in the end, you know, it was literally pick up the bottle like this, tip it out like this. Somebody else then has to come in. We have to make sure that the ambulance are called. We have to make sure that then you are given a card to call the Samaritans. You know, so it's very important that these things, particularly in that instance, because you don't want to be telling somebody how to do something. That is, you know, it needs to be, look, there has to be there are lifelines, literally lifelines, and that it's very correct that we're not inciting anything wrong, but that it is as truthful as possible within those parameters. You know, and that there's certain things, and it was actually really complicated doing stuff like that, because you know there's many rewrites on the day, rewrites and things like that as well, and it becomes actually quite difficult to then keep that emotion within all those sort of restrictions of going, oh, I've got to make sure that this is right, and maybe it doesn't feel naturally that I would do this, but also ultimately it's important that we're not giving out misinformation. I mean, that's where I think the soaps are amazing. I do sometimes think they do get a little bit dark, though. I think we could have a bit of a sense of humour. You know, the EastEnders do have a great sense of humour, and sometimes that needs to get through there a bit. You know, the real cockneys have to sort of, you know, there's sometimes you want to go, can we just have a day-to-day story? But then we had that I was on it for about 3.5 years, and at one point we had a whole storyline that went on forever and ever, all about the bins. We called it Bin Gate, and it was all about the bins, and it was deeply dull. However, life can be dull.
It can.
You know, some of the time you think, oh my God, these places, there's helicopters and bus crashes all the time. I mean, you know, sometimes we just have a boring life. That can be fine as well.
And that's real life, isn't it? Bonnie, I have to agree with Debbie, and I've never heard Debbie say that to anyone else, how extraordinary you are, and how talented and amazing in so many ways. And you know, and I've got to say that I've seen a lot of your productions. I haven't actually met you, but I have now, which is lovely.
Yes.
Tell me, what is it? Have you got a favourite thing you've done, or a few favourites? I'm sure.
Yeah, it's very difficult, because having been in it so long, I've been doing it 50 years, you know, it's lovely, because I feel like there's different sort of chapters and areas of my life that were special at that moment, and often it's because of the people backstage. This is what I do in my show, actually. I talk about, you know, people might have memories of me or whatever, or come and see me, but of course they're this side of the footlights, and I tell my story from my side of the footlights looking out, and always that is about the people that I've worked with, the situations that I've been in that might not be apparent to people watching. When I was very little, I was 8 years old. I was in a musical called Gypsy with Angela Lansbury, and I think that had a very big impact on how I then continued and tried to continue through my life. But more recently as well, one of the shows that I have done, which I absolutely loved, was 42nd Street at Drury Lane. We did it, I went in just for the last sort of 6 months of its run at Drury Lane before it was renovated. And, you know, we had 59 people in the cast. It was a beautiful show. I had played the ingenue 25 years earlier, and I went back to play the old bad diva 25 years later. Apparently I'm the only person who's ever done that. And what I'm really pleased about, particularly now, is that we filmed it, and it was released on PBS America and in cinemas across England, and now it's just been released on DVD actually. And I'm actually upset because I can see they put American in Paris and things like that on telly over Christmas, and I really wish they would put 42nd Street on telly over Christmas, because apart from it being the most wonderful show, I think it's going to be a long time before we get to see 59 people on a stage again.
Yeah,
the restrictions and everything at the moment, it's terribly difficult. So to have that as on film to see is just joyous. I feel very proud of that.
I've been watching a lot of the musicals that they've actually filmed, like Miss Saigon and Gypsy on stage, and it's extraordinary to see that actually how they can actually bring it to the living room. It's really extraordinary.
Yes.
But Bonnie, I wanted to ask you. You've done so much, obviously, but is there anything that you would like to do, or anything that you know that you want to do next?
Well, I don't know. I try and sort of listen to my heart, and I think if nothing else, you know, the pandemic has perhaps made me listen to that a little bit more. Yes, I want to obviously pay my mortgage and my tax bill, but at the same time, I do think it's really important that you do, if your heart is telling you you shouldn't do something, then try to listen to it as much as possible, or resolve and resign yourself to why you're doing it. And I think that is important, trying to make sure that you look after your mind. So, you know, to that end, I'm just getting back going again, really, with stuff. I'm very sort of always got ideas. I'm always looking forward, but I don't like to just slog away. I think I need to kind of think about things a little bit more carefully, and how you nurture yourself as well as your career. I don't want to just be, oh yeah, I did that. It would be nice to say, okay, where are we going now? Let's have a little think. What's a good plan? And then life then takes you maybe somewhere else. But you have to try and sort of think, okay, where can I go next? I think I might do an album this year, hopefully.
Yes,
that'd be nice.
You know, Anthony Robbins, you know, the American success coach, he says people spend more time designing their kitchens than they do their careers. And I think that's true. I think that's really true.
But I think that's really, really wonderful counsel for everyone to just follow your heart and do, you know, because again, we have the time to do that. So thank you for that. That was brilliant.
Yes. So actually lockdown has had some positive things for everyone, really, all of us, hasn't it?
Yes. I think it's been tough, and I think we need to be kind to ourselves, but I do think at the same time we then maybe value live theatre and entertainment and all those things. You know, I think it was very difficult at one point because we were all made to feel like we were just a luxury item, but I think actually what we do is very important for everyone, that, you know, we try and give as much as we can, but we need to appreciate that we've got to have that too.
Music is a great healer too, isn't it? And I think, you know, I'm really looking forward to hearing the album. Is there any particular genre for the album, or have you written music?
I don't know. We'll have a little think. I don't think it'll be rap. Although, as they say, it could be rap with a C. Let's hope not.
Darling, thank you so much for coming to see us. You've been the most fabulous, fantastic guest. I hope everyone goes to Bromley to see you, Fairy Lavender or whoever you are. And
lavender. I like that, actually. That's good. I'll sprinkle my lavender everywhere.
And the Crazy Cock.
And I hope to see you very soon to give you a big snuggle.
Love you, darling.
Yeah, come to Crazy Cock.
Thank you,
darling.
Yeah,
lovely to talk to you all. Take care, girls.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Bye.
Bye.
Amazing.
What a lovely lady.
Oh my goodness. I just love her.
So clever.
What a lovely lady.
She
Yeah.
is
So
extraordinary
genuine.
It
And
really is. I love
Just
what she
lovely.
said about wellness and looking after ourselves. And
Mm.
that's so important. That's key, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the
Absolutely.
first thing we should all do, because everyone's on such a hamster wheel at the moment, and
Yeah.
you know, striving for things, and you have to do this, and sometimes you just have to take a breath.
Yes,
And that's
Absolutely.
And be a sparkly hamster instead.
Well, Dee is already that.
Sorry.
obviously. Well, darlings, we'll see you
Who's
Friday.
coming in on Friday?
Well, we have the most wonderful Margot Raggett, who's coming in on Friday, who is the fantastic wildlife photographer who sent us the lovely books like this, if you remember,
Wow.
Wild Dogs of Africa. She's popping in to tell us all her news and her new projects.
Oh, that's
Lovely.
really fantastic. And we're going to start now sending out our Christmas messages from some of our lovely friends. So they're going to say Happy Christmas to you, and we will see you on Friday.
Yeah,
We will.
See you Friday. Bye.
Hey guys, Conor McIntyre here on a glorious, if somewhat cold, sunny winter's day in Plymouth. I just wanted to wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, and of course a very special Christmas to those fabulous Wonderbirds who've kept us all entertained all year. Have a great Christmas, guys, and a happy, healthy and prosperous new year when the time comes. God bless. Bye.
Now, it's true I may be vegan, but I wouldn't say no to having any of you Wonderbirds on my table this Christmas. Season's greetings to you and to your fabulous viewers from everybody here at Casualty. Mwah. And a happy 2022 too.
Hi there, it's Linda Lusardi here. Have a fantastic Christmas, all of you lovely Wonderbird ladies.